Good afternoon. Welcome. Welcome to episode 60. And there I am. Let me know if you are here today on this busy Monday, the last Monday before Christmas. So if you are here and joining in today, I appreciate it so much that you're taking a little bit of time out of your busy day. So I won't take up too much of your time. But I think you're going to really like what I have to show you today. So give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you're here recording live, or if you are catching me on the replay or on YouTube, where I will post this shortly after. Excuse me, let me get a little bit more comfortable here. After the end of the recording. So when, if you saw it on Facebook, said I was going to do something very colorful today, and it is. So I will give you a little bit of the history of that. About 2 weeks ago, I attended a performance of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And I had not seen it for a long time, but it was just delightful and so much fun. It was local community theater. And a lot of kids in it. They enjoyed it. It was so much fun. But it got me to thinking that before Christmas, I would show a technique called Joseph's Coat. And that's what I'm going to do today. So without any further ado, let me flip my page down here. I don't see anybody here yet, but that's okay. I will get started. Hope I'm recording in the right place because I set this up yesterday. So anyway, Joseph's Coat was the amazing, colorful coat that he was gifted to by his father, Jacob, as a Bible story. And I believe his brothers didn't like that all too much. So, oh, there's somebody here, so I'm in the right place. Welcome, Sue. How are you? So this is a very colorful technique if you've not seen it before or heard about it but never tried it. So as Joseph's coat was a lot of color, this is a lot of color. So let me show you, first of all, what you will need to make this happen. Of course, some cardstock, but the supplies will be a Versamark ink pad, because we're going to be embossing. And a Versamark pad is a watermark pad that can be used for embossing because it's sticky and will hold embossing powder long enough to be able to emboss. It will also give you a watermark on dark paper. So even if you don't have a stamp pad of the right color, a Versamark will give you an image. Hey, Linda, welcome. So this is a must, and if you don't have one, you should have one. It's good. Okay, we're going to need a Memento Black ink pad for this. We're going to need some clear embossing powder, and I have mine put in a large container so I can contain it and not get it all over everything. We will need a clothespin or something to hold your paper while you're embossing so you don't get your fingers burned a little bit. And let's see, where did I put those? Oh, something to make your colors. Either some sponge daubers, which I've used these. They come 5 to a pack. And there's a little finger hole in there so that you can put your finger in there. So sponge daubers or blending brushes. I'm going to use the blending brushes today, but the sponge daubers would be a little bit less expensive way to go. Not that these are expensive, but I just like the way it looks. So I'm going to use blending brushes. Let's see. I would also recommend maybe a Post-it note or a Post-it note pad to hold your paper down. So you can get your fingers a little bit dirty on this. Although, let me tell you how mine are so clean. I played with this technique yesterday, and I was pretty messy. And I was cruising through the aisle of the grocery store yesterday, and I happened to remember a soap that we had growing up called lava soap. Who remembers lava soap? As I remember, it was gray, looked kind of like the color of gray granite that we have. And it was very rough on your fingers. I think it had some pumice or something in it. Well, I went and looked for it, and yes, it's in the soap aisle. So I bought it was a 2-pack, so it'll take me forever to use it because I don't typically use bar soap anyway. But it really cleans up. And the nice thing about it, it now has moisturizers in it. So it's not that real rough. That didn't smell good. You're right, Linda, but it does smell good now. It's a pretty green. It's not the ugly, I shouldn't say ugly, but it's not the color that we remember from growing up. So anyway, I now have some lava soap in my bathroom to keep me clean. So I shouldn't have dirty fingers anymore. So let's get going. Oh, and the last thing, an embossing buddy or an anti-static pad. When you emboss, you should have one of these to keep any stray oils from your fingers or just any place that you don't want your embossing powder to go. Sadly, Stampin' Up! Retired this little product a couple of years ago, or maybe just in this most recent catalog, and I can't figure out why. In the embossing world, I think this is kind of really a necessary thing. If not, you may use a Swiffer. I understand this little pad has cornstarch or something in it, but anything that will take the static off of your cardstock. So, Sue, yay, working in the garden. Well, I don't do that, but I wish I did. But yeah, that's great. So gardening, planting, so it's probably more out there than I even realized, but I'm glad I have it now. Okay, so what I'm going to do on this card is basic black for my card base. And the others are basic white. I have actually 2 pieces that are 4 by 5 1/4. One is going to go on the inside and one will go on the top here. And then I have 2 pieces. One that is, this is 3 3/8 by 4 3/4. And this one, because they're so close, I already have it marked with an L so that that's my layer. And that is 3 1/2 by 4 7/8. So that's going to go on here like this. So with that, the other thing you need then are some ink pads of a variety of colors. And I've chosen Polished Pink, Mango Melody, Flirty Flamingo, and Bermuda Bay. And the stamp set that I'm going to use is this wonderful Daisy Garden. And I think, Sue, I think you've got this stamp, don't you? So you're going to like this episode and how I'm going to show you how to do this if you haven't before. So that's that. Let's get coloring. So I'm going to start off first with a little bit of Polished Pink. And what you do is you just add color in a variety of places on your cardstock. So it's going to kind of look like a hot mess before I get done with it. So there's a little bit of red. And the neat thing about this is every single card that you make with this technique will be different. None would ever be the same. This is Mango Melody. And this isn't a color I use a whole lot, but I've been playing around with colors, and I used, I think I used crushed curry on one, and it was okay, but that's what's fun about it. Change it. So let's add some color here. And your goal is to not have any white space left when you get ready to do the next step. So, okay, that's enough of that. And I need to close them up before I move on. A little bit of Flirty Flamingo. And let's see, that's going to be, let me make sure okay, that was the Mango Melody. Okay, here we go. So I'm just tapping to get some ink on there. Put some of that in there. And then when you blend some of these colors together, they even look nice. Okay, I better save some room for the blue in here. Okay, that's good. And Bermuda Bay. Okay, so I'm filling in the white there, make that a little darker there. I mean, this is kind of ugly right now. Okay, it's pretty, but I don't know what you would do with it otherwise. I don't know. It's not bad. We shall see. Put a little bit there. All right. So done with the ink pads. Now, the other tool that you need to make this work that I didn't mention in the other supplies needed is a heat gun. Stampin' Up's heat gun has two settings, one for a low setting, which I'm going to use right now, and then a high setting for actually doing heat embossing. So it does make noise, and I'll have to use my teacher voice and probably shout while I'm doing part of this project, but you'll see how it works. And what is really nice about this one, because I have some other excuse me, heat tools that don't cover up the metal part that's in there, because it does get very hot. And a little bit about my story. Embossing is what got me hooked on stamping. Many years ago, my sister and I went into a stamp store in Mesa, Arizona. I have no idea why. It must have been fate. Because they were offering a free, and I say free jokingly, free stamp demonstration, little stamp class, 15-20 minutes, sit down, let's make this little project. And it was a beginner thing, but I learned how to emboss. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And I was hooked. When I came home from that trip, I was embossing over a skillet on my stove, over a toaster. You don't put the paper down in the toaster, over the toaster. Any way to get heat until I could get myself a heat gun. So that's the story of how I got started with stamping. Okay, moving on. I know that there's ink here, and while I was talking, I was kind of letting this dry too. I know there's ink on here that could possibly be a little bit wet because I added a lot to it. But I want to make sure that it is completely dry. So I'm going to use the low setting on the heat tool. And that doesn't get very hot at all. But just enough to, let's say you're doing some watercoloring and you want to dry that very quickly. This low setting would not emboss at all. So I just want to make sure that that ink is totally dry. So if you wanted to do a lot of these kinds of projects, you could do a bunch of these and then set them aside and do the rest of it the next day. So that part's done. And now is when I want to use the embossing buddy. And this just adds a layer over it of, like I say, there's a powder in here. I understand it's cornstarch or something like that. But it really takes the anti-static or the static out of your project. All right, now let's bring the stamp, which I'm going to use the Stamparatus on this. Let me zoom out a little bit for this one. Because this is such a large stamp, even though I'm not going to use the whole thing, I've only got a small portion of it, so part of it won't be used, but it will give me a good crisp image. And I've got a little bit of the seal adhesive here, because my paper is going to be about the same size as this for where I want to put that down. Yes, and there's no room to put my magnet. So without that, I want to make sure that this won't move. So now I'm going to put that down, but now I need to ink it up with the Versamark pad. And one of our stamp cases is just the perfect size for putting under your stamp, so that as you add pressure to it, when you ink up your stamp, you don't add pressure to the hinge on the Stamparatus. So I'm just going to tap this around here. And in playing with this, I have re-inked, so we do have a re-inker for a Versamark. So if you have one and you haven't used it in a while, it's a spongy, and you can see this is really kind of grungy, but it lasts for a long time. I have a new one that I've not actually used, just in case I ever want one that's really clean. But you just can add Versamark re-inker and you're good to go. And then just spread it around with the bowl of a spoon or a bone folder. So I'm tapping, because there's a lot of detail on this, but I don't want to tap real hard and smoosh down in the areas where I don't want embossing powder. And I'm doing the whole thing, even though I know not all of it will get stamped on there. All right, now, here's the fun part. Stamp that down. I can move this out of the way. And there is a glare there. Just want to make sure all of that ink transfers to my card. Lift that up. And I know you can't see anything. Even if I put this up here, I don't think it's even enough to see, even with the watermark. But I will be able to show you when I get the embossing powder on there before I heat emboss it. So I've got a little spoon here, but I think this is big enough that I can just kind of dip that in there. And keep the embossing powder. Okay, I did that so I left enough space up here at the top to hold on to. And just kind of flick off any that might be where you don't want it. So there, I think you can see it a little bit. I'm not sure. So let's get to heating it and you'll see what happens. So I will try to do this as fast as I can. And I'm going to heat this up, make sure it's nice and hot. and I'll try to talk over it a little bit. You can heat from underneath, and once you see the embossing start to turn shiny, and it's starting here on the side, then you'll know that it's actually doing the job. Okay, I didn't want to have one of these ready ahead of time, just so you could see the whole process. So let's see if I can do this. What you don't want to do is like this. Don't do that. Just concentrate on one section. And when you see that it's turned shiny, oh, I know what I forgot. My clothespin. Oh my gosh. Because I'm starting to feel that heat on my fingers. Okay, let's get the clothespin going here. There we go. It's so much fun to watch that embossing powder turn shiny. And when I said that was the first thing that I had ever done, it was gold embossing, and that was the best. Okay, it's coming. Okay, one of those daisies doesn't look like it got as much ink as I had hoped. So we'll see how this turns out. I've got another one to show if it doesn't. Okay, so let's see. There's one part there that maybe I didn't press hard enough, but I think you'll still get the idea of the technique when I do the next step. Okay, so it does cool off really, really quickly, so it's okay, but I'm concerned about that one part right there. But I do have a backup to show you. Now comes the magic, and let me get some of this. No matter what, I get embossing powder someplace else. So now you take the Memento ink pad, and here's where a little post-it note will come in handy so you don't get it all over your fingers. Kind of hold that down, and then take a Memento ink pad and brush it over that. And it's kind of wet right now. And this is where the lava soap might come in handy later. Yeah, something didn't come out right in that one, but I will use another that I did earlier. Okay. So basically I've turned the whole background that did not have embossing on it and turned it black. So it basically looks like black cardstock. So let's kind of dry that, and yes, not as good as I had hoped. Then you need either a paper towel or I don't recommend a tissue because it might get some shredding on your card. I have an old dish towel that I use for stuff like this, and it makes all the difference. So what I'm going to do is to rub that off. And this technique is an resist. So any place that I have embossing powder, which that was a bad part right there, resists the ink that I just brushed on there with the Memento. So I will go ahead and finish this, but show you the other one that I did do this morning. And it looks really good. So I think what happened is when I pressed the embossing, or pressed my hand down on the Stamparatus, I didn't press hard enough in that one area. Okay, so that happens, and I could probably still use this for something, but I'll go ahead and still clean it off a little bit. Let me show you the one that I did earlier. And this one looks much better. So I'm glad I kind of did this. I was playing this morning, coming up with another one. So pretend that this is the one that I just did. And with this one, I believe I used, yeah, I used the same colors. I think the color, it's all different. Remember I said every one would be a little bit different. So this is the one from today. Don't look there in the middle. And this is the one that I did this morning. And that black in the background is perfectly dry. It is a perfect matte color. So it doesn't even look like the basic black cardstock. It's just stunning. So this is the one that I'll use to make the card. And I might have to trim that down a little bit to get the color that I need. So what did I say that one was? 3 3/8 by 4 3/4. So I'll need to get my trimmer out. Yeah, it was 4 1/4. So I'm going to cut off. Let me double check that. I want to make sure it goes with my mat. 4 7/8. That's right. 4 7/8. So there's just a little bit. If I'd have taken that to 4 1/4, I'd have been very unhappy. So I'm just cutting off a little bit with that. And 3 1/2. And this is 3 3/4. So I'm going to take about 1/8 of an inch off of each side. Did I say 3 3/8? Right. There we go. And then that should match the layer that I already had cut. Let's see if it does. Let's see, I need to cut a little bit more off the bottom, so I must have measured that wrong. 4 3/4. I did. There, I was 1/8 of an inch off. Yeah, 4 3/4 by 3 3/8, and then my layering mat is 3 1/2 by 4 7/8. So there's where you have that. All right. So now let's put the card together. Get rid of some of this inky stuff here. And use some liquid glue. So, is everybody ready for Christmas? I'm probably about 90% ready. I have some things to take to a friend gathering on Wednesday, and we all put things in little bags and give something to everybody. So that's about done, like candy or little treats. So there's that. And doesn't that look good when it's just mounted on white? I pinch my paper too and I remove it from my trimmer. Yes, it happens. So there's that. And then I'm going to put that on another piece of white, but I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals. It just makes it look a little bit more stunning. But before I do that, I'm going to add some gold cording. And that will let it set it off. I'm going to wrap it around 3 times and snip it off. And then just use some tape to tape it down in the back. Just some regular old tape like you use to wrap presents. Hi Carol, welcome. Yes, you'll like the replay. It's fun. And then tape this here. It's a little bit longer than I need, but that's okay. I got my tape a little bit further away than I should. And snip that off. So there we've got that, and just another little piece to tie a knot. Okay, sadly, I don't think we're going to have a white Christmas this year. Looks like it's going to be about 53 on Saturday. So I guess it's okay. I guess we can dream of a white Christmas. We're just not going to have one. Okay. That's a little bit too small to tie a bow, so I'm just going to snip that off. That's good. And I'm going to add dimensionals to the back of this. And I actually got some Christmas cards in the mail this year. I think I should just start doing New Year's cards or Valentine's cards. Sometimes it just doesn't happen, but this year it did. It's been another one of those crazy years. Can you believe we're in the second Christmas dealing with this terrible stuff? Okay, let's get those little dimensional things out of there and add this to, let's see, I know there are 2 pieces here. Add this to this layer, which is a little bit bigger, 4 by 5 1/4, and that just really sets it off. It just really makes that pop. And then this piece is going to go on the inside to put it on a black base. That, I think I said before, is 4 1/4 by 11. and it's scored at 5.5. So I'm going to flip that there. And then just flip this over. And give it a crease with the bone folder. And then this is going to go on the front. Then I'll show you a couple others. I did do one that has a sentiment on the front. This I think I'm going to hold off on doing a sentiment because I might want this to be a birthday card, January birthday card, I think. And I don't have that sentiment out, but I'll show you the stamp set that's coming in the new catalog. There we go. What do you think? I'm just in love with this. So Joseph's coat came out of my archives of something I had not done in a long time, and it was thanks to going to see that show a couple of weeks ago. So there's the one, and sorry, the one that I actually did not turn out very well. Here's another one that I did. I have one more thing to add to this, and I'll show you. Where I did add a sentiment, sending all the hugs, and I'll tell you where that comes from. And these cute little butterflies, oh my goodness sakes alive. You're gonna love them. So there's that one. Here's another one. See, when I start making, I can't stop. That is also a little bit different with the black base and some of the, let me get the name of it here, the gold and rose gold metallic specialty paper. And I used this quite a long time ago in one of my videos, and it is very, very pretty. So it's got some rose gold and gold metallic paper. It's in 6x6. Beautiful. So that's what the base is on this one. And then I was playing with different type of stamp set, and this was the hand penned, and I just didn't think it gave enough color because it's a line art stamp instead of this one that has a lot more detail to it. So that's when I switched to using the daisy one. So these were yesterday's little samples. Here's another one that's more line art that is from a new stamp set that will be coming out. But let me tell you about these butterflies. In the mini catalog that will be coming, should be coming your way, starting January, and we'll go through June. It's this mini catalog. And I will be showcasing something out of this next week. If you've been watching other demonstrators, they've been showing it for a number of weeks. And I have had products, but I just decided to wait and show it closer to when it goes live. So this is this catalog. We will also have Celebration. So when this mini catalog starts, we will have Celebration from January 4th through the end of February 2022. So you can earn free product out of here with a $50 or $100 purchase. But these little butterflies are called brushed brass butterflies. Say that 3 times fast. And these little butterflies, I don't know if you can see those, are brass. Oh my gosh. They're adhesive on the back. They are so cute. So I'm going to take my take a pick tool and add some of these to the card that I just finished. And that was this one. And slide those off. Let's take a little one and put it let's see, let's put a little one up here. Oh, got the wrong side. Yep, flipped over. There's the adhesive on that side. And then take a big one. Oh, these are so nice. And put it on, let's see, let's put it on the leaf of this pretty blue one down here in the corner. And another little one. Let's see. I always go with odd numbers. Where do we need another butterfly? There we go. So there's the card for today. I really thank you for stopping by, and I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and I will see you next Monday, which will be our last Monday of 2021, and have a great rest of the week. Relax, make sure you take care of yourself, be safe, and have a great week. Bye-bye.